When the Xyz monsters were introduced in the summer of 2011, players encountered their first alternative to the level system of scaling a card's power. Generally, high-level monsters have stronger effects and stats than lower-level counterparts. The same is true for Xyz monsters, sort of. Since they're summoning by stacking a specific number of materials from the field with levels to match a desired Xyz rank, the amount of materials is another dimension that defines the strength of an Xyz monster. Also, because there are just more spammable level 4s in the game, rank 4 Xyz monsters can be easier to summon than say rank 2s or 1s, which makes it hard to calculate the actual power of an Xyz monster from their rank alone. Some rank 1 monsters are incredibly strong, but some are not, and that's where this list comes in. It might seem out of character for Slacker Magician to put energy to start this list out at number 10, but although she's very tired, this rank 1 light spellcaster with 200 attack and 2100 defense from the 2013 set Cosmo Blazer requires 2 level 1 Xyz monsters and does have some hidden moxie. While the text on her card is quite simple, there's more to this exhausted mage than meets the eye. To start off, the first time she would be destroyed by battle each turn, she isn't. And also, if she's targeted by a card effect, she can detach material to negate and destroy the card that targeted. Slacker Magician really doesn't feel like getting up to move off the field or doing whatever silly effect is trying to get her attention. But once she's finally up and moving, she becomes the Downward Magician, a rank 4 spellcaster with inverse stats to Slacker Magician at 2100 attack and 200 defense. Fittingly, Downward Magician can be summoned by ranking up on top of any rank 3 or lower Xyz monster during the main phase 2. The main phase 2 summoning restriction probably reflects the time Slacker Magician requires to stop slacking, but she's not done yet, because Downward Magician won't be the final monster you land on. Slacker Magician's easy summoning cost and battle protection makes her a great candidate for crashing into your opponent's monsters during the battle phase. You'll likely take some damage from her 200 attack, but you can make up for that by using her to fulfill the summon requirements of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder. This powerful rank 12 Xyz monster can be summoned from the extra deck by using any Xyz monster as a material, transferring any existing attachments to it, but only if an Xyz monster has battled this turn and is still hanging around. With Slacker Magician's inertia toward leaving the field, you can skip Zeus's normal level 12 overlay costs and detach 2 to use its effect to send every other card in the field to the graveyard. Even better, if you rank up into a Downward Magician and then rank up into Zeus, you'll have enough materials to resolve its board effect clear twice. It's not necessarily Slacker Magician's own effect that makes her good enough to be the least bad card, and therefore actually pretty good card on this list, but rather how her effect opens up further plays through Zeus. Despite her lethargic appearance, Slacker Magician has appeared in the artwork of an impressive number of other cards. Xyz Tribunals, Arrival Rivals, Staring Contest, and Get Out all feature Slacker Magician. She's friends and or rivals with Alchemic Magician, who was able to cajole her colleague in developing the Stim Pack potion. Slacker Magician and Alchemic Magician are also friends and or rivals of Akashic Magician, so apparently there's a lively potion market booming in the dual monster world.
Oh no, I seem to be lost in these woods. I hope no one tries to sell me product.
Hello there, are you interested in eating healthy but hate shopping for the correct portion sizes? They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and HelloFresh agrees. In fact, they're giving all subscribers free breakfast for life.
Oh thank goodness. Can you tell me how to get back to the main road?
With summer in the rearview mirror and busy days ahead, we're all craving wholesome meals that can save us time and money. HelloFresh has something for everyone. Each box is fully customizable to fit your preferences and includes pre-portioned ingredients so you only pay for what you need.
I just want to get home.
HelloFresh has more options to support your wellness journey than ever before. Dig into their biggest menu yet with 50 plus dinner options and even more market items that suit your healthy lifestyle.
I was out here to bury a body.
Thanks to HelloFresh for supporting today's video. Go to HelloFresh/TheDuelLogs and use my code DuelLogsSep10 and receive 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active if you're in the US. The link and code are valid in all countries and the respective local discounts will apply. Continuing to challenge the assumption that every card on a worst of list must necessarily be trash awful is Heroic Champion Jarngreipr, a level 1 Earth Warrior with 700 attack and 1800 defense from 2022's Dimension Force set. Jarngreipr has both activated and passive effects. Just by occupying a monster zone, it extends protection to the first of your warriors that would be destroyed by battle or card effect each turn. Additionally, Jarngreipr also makes it so that when an opponent's monster is involved in battle, you'll gain life points equal to half its attack. Then for its once per turn detach ability, Jarngreipr can drop 2 Xyz materials to revive a level or rank 4 warrior monster from the graveyard, gaining attack equal to half the monster's original attack. The heroic monsters are a mostly Earth Warrior archetype of main deck challenger monsters and extra deck Xyz champions. It's got some spells and trap supports, and mostly wants to swarm the field and use their effects to boost their attacks and the game in one peerless battle phase charge. Jarngreipr plays into the strategy mostly by reviving a challenger or champion from the grave. In an ideal heroic game, you won't be spending too much time on the defense since your goal is to crank out overpowered attacks. But Jarngreipr can still help you buy time to unleash a devastating counterstrike, or at least it would if anyone played the heroics ever. Being a battle phase focused archetype doesn't have to lock you out of the meta, just look at Tenpai. But going all in and declared and intercepting big attacks wasn't enough to make a deck good back in 2012 when the first heroic cards were printed, and it unsurprisingly still was not enough 12 years later in 2024. By the end of your main phase, that's pretty much all the heroics can do. Amass a board of big numbers that crumble under the pressure of one magic cylinder, or have their sword-singing champion bosses completely walled by obnoxious Celtic Guardian. It's good that heroic decks got access to Jarngreipr as a rank 1 champion option for Heroic Challenger Clapsword and Heroic Challenger Ambush Soldier, but it doesn't mesh well with their hyper-aggressive playstyle, and it doesn't give the archetype the support it would need for their monsters to reliably make it to the end of the battle phase. A heroic monster that earns its champion title, however, is number 86 Heroic Champion Rongominiad, a rank 4 light Xyz monster that gains additional effects at scale and power with the number of Xyz materials that it can access. When it reaches 3, Rongominiad becomes immune to the effects of other cards. At 4, it locks your opponent out of normal or special summoning. After it crosses the threshold of 5 and beyond, Rongominiad can destroy all of your opponent's cards once per turn. If this was a list about good heroic cards, we'd probably talk about Rongominiad, which was so toxically good that it's been banned in the TCG since 2019. So that's what the heroics have got. One boss so good it'll never see play, and a bunch of forgettable cards like Jarngreipr that might have been able to be decent if they'd been printed in an archetype that could actually support them. For the next course on this list, we're serving up number 63 Shamoji Soldier, a rank 1 light fairy with 0 attack and 2000 defense, which requires 2 level 1 monsters as its materials. Releasing as a super rare in the 2013 set Number Hunters, Shamoji Soldier is not particularly good, but does have some interesting synergies to discuss, making it a great candidate for the number 8 spot. Once per turn, number 63 Shamoji Soldier can detach 1 material to activate 1 of its 2 effects. You can either have both players gain 1000 life points right now, or have both players draw a card during your opponent's next standby phase. If the life point was one-sided, then Shamoji Soldier could be used to swing matches that are starting to draw out a little long. But because this monster is based on a utensil for serving rice, and it's rude to not share a meal, both players get to help themselves to an additional 1000 life point snack. Conversely, it's always good to draw cards, but if you both draw cards during your opponent's turn, they'll probably have the chance to use theirs before you can do anything with yours. Basically, in order to have a reason to play Shamoji Soldier, you'd need a deck that can stack level 1s and your opponent's deck, so you know they won't be drawn to anything nasty. And it just so happens that there's one deck that meets both of these requirements. The Spiral archetype are inspired by secret agents, and have level 1 monsters that can both spy and rearrange the top of your opponent's deck through card effect espionage. Spiral Quick Fix is level 1 that can search out Spiral Gear Drone. Another level 1, which can activate your opponent's next 3 draws and put them on top in any order you like. The Shamoji Soldier draw is still slow, but it is an interesting technique that the deck can pivot to. While the number archetype of Xyz monsters at first might seem like one of Yu-Gi-Oh's most arbitrary collection of cards, many monsters carry their number for specific pun-related reasons. Number 63 Shamoji Soldier is likely a reference to the restaurant in the Ginza district of Tokyo called Rokusante, with Roku meaning 6 and San meaning 3. And the verdict is in. The number 7 spot on this list is shared by number 13 Embodiment of Crime and number 31 Embodiment of Punishment. They're both rank 1 Dark Fiends with 5 attack and defense, which both require 2 level 1 monsters in order to Xyz summon, and were released together in the 2014 Premium Gold Box. To use these cards the way they're intended, you're going to need them both, which means to run a proper crime and punishment strategy, you'll need to crank out 4 level 1s in this same turn, unless you've got adequate protection. The embodiments of crime and punishment have the same detach effect, which can be activated during either player's turn by removing 1 Xyz material. This will change all of your opponent's monsters to attack position, and force your opponent to attack with everything they have that they can legally declare an attack with. Then, crime and punishment both gains 2 additional effects while their counterpart is on the field. Your opponent takes any damage you would have taken from those battles that they engage in, and while they still have Xyz material left, neither card can be destroyed by battle. The idea is that you punish your opponent by forcing them to attack your immortal monsters over and over again, dealing self-damage with each engagement, and maybe even finishing themselves off. Where this strategy falls apart is if either crime or punishment is removed from the field face up, something that's quite easy to accomplish since both lack any form of inherent protection. Funnily enough, crime and punishment together are a heroic player's worst nightmare, but that doesn't stop them from placing higher in this list, because the heroics are at least good at putting bodies on the field, which gives them options outside of their own archetype. Crime and punishment are one way to configure 4 materials and monsters together, but you'd probably be better off opting for a more direct and generic strategy, like maybe link climbing through some nightmares to land on an Axis Kotaker. But in the end, perhaps it is better to go wrong in one's own way than to go right in someone else's. In the OCG, the names of these cards are a little different. Instead of Embodiment of Crime and Embodiment of Punishment, they are Cain's Devil and Abel's Devil. This refers to Cain and Abel from the biblical book of Genesis, who were children of first humans Adam and Eve. They didn't get along, and Cain committed the crime of murdering his brother. As punishment for the death of Abel, Cain was exiled and marked with a brand to warn any who might encounter to stay away, as the man was cursed. It's possible that the names Cain and Abel were changed to instead reference Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, preserving the suitably serious literary theme while removing religious connotations. And booking the number 6 on this list is number 78, Number Archive, the rank 1 light spellcaster from 2016 set Dragon of Legends Unleashed, which requires 2 level 1 materials but has 0 attack and defense. Those low stats are of no concern, however, because once per turn, during either turn, you can detach material to summon a random number monster between 1 and 99 from your extra deck, using number 78 Number Archive as a material for the XC summon. This can be a pretty easy way to quickly summon a strong card like number 81 Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Super Dora, or number 77 The Seven Sins. But the random selection means if you want to summon a numbers monster with precision, it'll have to be the only option in your extra deck. You'll also only get 1 turn with the monster brought out by the Number Archive, since it's going to banish itself during the end phase. If you really want to use it, you can probably find a janky but fun way to do it, and it'll probably involve spirals, like with number 63 Shamoji Soldier. This kind of card is similar to the old favorite Royal Magical Library in both appearance and characteristics, with the same attributes, stat line, and typing. But instead of books, Number Archive houses monsters. And although this card never appears in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal series, the Astral Script has the names of a few prominent number monsters from the anime which make cameo appearances in the artwork, including number 32 Shark Drake, number C32 Shark Drake Vice, number 33 Chronomaly Maku Mech, number 34 Terabyte, number 39 Utopia, number 39 Utopia Roots, and number 39 Utopia Beyond. Causing a ruckus at number 5 on this list is the rank 1 Fire Beast from 2024's Legacy Destruction, Tantrum Toddler. This upset child requires 2 level 1s as materials and might have 0 attack and defense, but that's going to change as their outrage builds. For starters, Tantrum Toddler gains 700 attack and defense for every material attached, meaning it'll start at 1400 in both stats. When a card is negated, Tantrum Toddler can attach 2 more materials, 1 card from your graveyard and 1 from your opponent's. One activation of this effect will bring Tantrum Toddler's materials up to 4, which will allow it to unlock its tiered effect to become immune to destruction by battle or effect. But if you want to use Tantrum Toddler's strongest activation, you'll need to get to 8 Xyz materials underneath it. At that point, as quick effect, you can detach 4 to destroy all cards on the field. Tantrum Toddler will be immune from its own board clear, since detaching 4 materials will preserve its destruction immunity. Maximizing Tantrum Toddler's potential requires you to respond to at least 3 negations. But luckily, their attach effect is not limited to once per turn. You can actually resolve it once per chain, which makes this card a lot easier to use. A little, but not a lot, because although Tantrum Toddler responds to negation, it doesn't have any protection against being negated itself. If your opponent reveals Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, and you counter with Tantrum Toddler, you're still vulnerable to other negates like Infinite Impermanence, Effect Veiler, and Ghost Mortar and Moonlit Chill. Even worse for a card that needs to stick around for a while to build up its effect, your opponent might play Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Since your Tantrum Toddler won't start with any protection against removal, it's painfully vulnerable during the early stages of its meltdown. In the end, the best way to play Tantrum Toddler will probably be to power it up with your own negates, since counting on something you can do is usually going to be more consistent than relying on something your opponent might do. But this brings back the same old question prompted by so many cards on these Words of lists. Why not do something else? Still, a quick effect board wipe is pretty good and negates are everywhere in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe this child will prove more dangerous than he appears. And crashing number 4 spot on this list, we have number 56, Goldrat. It's a rank 1 Xyz beast that was released in the 2013 Zexal's Collection tin. And its meager stat line of 500 attack and 600 defense means you probably won't be swinging at anything with Goldrat. But that's not the intended use of the card. Once per turn, Goldrat can detach a material to draw a card, and then shuffle one from your hand back to the deck. Getting an extra draw is always good, but Goldrat is pretty much just a way worse Upstart Goblin. Both card effects let you draw one to remain neutral in card advantage, but whereas Upstart Goblin's a normal spell, Goldrat takes 3 level 1 bodies. So far, this list has been a little spoiled for its Xyz material requirements, with all of our previous cards only needing an overlay of 2 to summon. Not anymore. All the cards we'll be talking about from here on out require 3. While Goldrat isn't useless on the field, even if you're running the perfect engine to crank out 3 level 1s, you'll pretty much always have better lines than Goldrat. It's seen some Master Duel play primarily in Lyreless decks with level 1 support from cards like Slow or Swallow, but mostly as extra deck filler, because there just aren't as many rank 1s as more common ranks like 4 and 8. Goldrat is an expensive shot in the dark that, in the best case scenario, allows you to work around its restrictions by burying a Garnet. What's more likely is that you'll top deck a card that won't save you, and you'll have to give up another resource to boot. Still, Goldrat manages to take a very slightly lower spot on this list for its generic usability. If offered, you'd pretty much always agree to draw a card at the cost of shuffling one back. It's not the strongest effect, but it can be beneficial at any point in the game. Sure, Goldrat is unreliable, but better to be potentially useful than reliably useless. Goldrat is both the first Beast Xyz monster and potentially a reference to the Year of the Rat. Those born under the zodiac animal are said to have a talent for accumulating wealth, which is kind of what Goldrat does. It does let you draw a card anyway. And it also had a brief appearance in episode 13 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal anime, where it was used by a criminal businessman. But instead of acquiring money, he had both his number card and soul extracted by Kite Tenjo's Photon Hand. Oops. And coming in number 3, we have Mira the Star-Bearer, a rank 1 light warrior with 1100 attack and 1000 defense from the 2013 set Shadow Specters. Like Goldrat, Mirai needs 3 level 1s to overlay, and like Goldrat, that's expensive. So what do you get if you're willing to spend 3 bodies on Mira the Star-Bearer? Well, like a lot of these other cards, Mirai is decently okay on the field. It has a passive effect that grants protection from destruction by card effects to all your level 4 and lower monsters. Unfortunately, since Mira the Star-Bearer doesn't have a level, it can't enjoy its own protection, but does have some ability to detach Xyz materials to avoid being destroyed. This gives it some staying power, especially since you can activate Mirai's Detach in response to destruction by battle as well as card effect. In the end, this is a lot of investment for a card that isn't going to advance your game. Its defensive effects might buy you some stall time, but likely not long, since giving your low-level monsters a shield against effect destruction doesn't stop them from being overrun by some of the meanest creatures Yu-Gi-Oh! Has to offer. While there were less non-destruction tools for removal back in 2013, it was still a glaring flaw that Mira the Star-Bearer left the monsters it tried to protect vulnerable to banishing, booking, and other disrupts. And that was back then. Now, well, passive field protection can still be useful, so Mirai won't land higher on this list, but it's still probably not a card you'll find yourself in an optimal position to use. Mirai was actually the first rank 1 monster to be printed in Yu-Gi-Oh! While other rank 1s would arrive first in the TCG, Mira the Star-Bearer had its OCG release in the earlier days of 2011. It's also maybe a combined or grown up version of the level 1 monster Triple Star Tiragon, which came out in the same sets and has a similar visual aesthetic. And reigning in at number 2 is number 83, Galaxy Queen. This stellar sovereign is a rank 1 dark spellcaster with 500 attack and defense from Photon Shockwave, a set that released in 2011. Like Mirai, number 83 Galaxy Queen is able to provide a form of protection to all your monsters. There are, however, a few ways Galaxy Queen's protection differs. Instead of destruction by effect, Galaxy Queen gives your cards immunity to be destroyed by battle. Where Mirai passively granted its defenses, number 83 Galaxy Queen must detach a material to keep her effect active until your opponent's end phase. Unlike Mirai, who can only assist low-level monsters, Galaxy Queen's battle protection extends to all of your monsters regardless of level or rank. And that's not all. She has another effect. While your monsters are protected by Galaxy Queen, they also gain the ability to inflict piercing battle damage. This might even seem better than Mirai at first glance, and you could construct scenarios where you'd rather go into a Galaxy Queen over a Star-Bearer. But despite her offensive potential, Galaxy Queen is incredibly fragile. She has no self-protection, which makes removing her very, very easy. As a stall card, she might buy you a turn, but if stall is all you needed, you might be better off summoning a Mira the Star-Bearer, which is a staggeringly wild thing to say with any sincerity. Galaxy Queen had a brief anime appearance in episode 7 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, where she was used by the duelist Nelson Andrews. When people acquired number monsters in Zexals, they often derived their forms from the needs and desires of their owner. In the case of Galaxy Queen, Andrews really wanted to live up to his mother's expectations, which led Galaxy Queen to take the appearance of his mom and also manipulate him into thinking that she was in fact his mother. And pouncing on the number 1 spot is Baby Tiragon. This is a rank 1 Earth Dragon with 900 attack and defense that releases part of the Photon Shockwave set in 2011 alongside Galaxy Queen, making them some of the first rank 1 Xyz monsters to enter the TCG. This monster's name is a mashup of tiger and dragon, which explains its feline appearance. During the main phase 1, you can resolve Baby Tiragon's effect by detaching one of the 3 level 1 materials used to XC summon this card. After activation, it lets you target a level 1 monster you control and make it so that monster can attack directly this turn. This effect is not limited to once per turn, so if you're able to assemble another 3 level 1s after using your first set of 3s to summon this card, you can resolve its effect 3 times during the main phase to give you a squad of low-level direct attackers. The trouble here is that, like with many rank 1s that require many materials, you'd probably fare better going into link spam. But Baby Tiragon's effect is especially inefficient. There are level 1s in the game that can attack directly with Baby Tiragon's help, like Legol, and also cards like Rainbow Flower and Jinzo number 7 that are levels 2 that can inherently attack directly, so same difference. Instead of jumping through those high-cost hoops to grant the ability to attack directly, you're probably better off spending your time buffing one of those monsters that can already do it. Even better, you could just use a direct attacker like TG Drillfish that has the added benefit of a removal effect, or Drill Barnacle, which can increase its own attack each time it inflicts battle damage. The best case use for Baby Tiragon is probably with the Mech Lord Emperors, a line of level 1 machines with respectively high attack stats. Unfortunately, the Mech Lord Emperors also all come with a shared downside of preventing any other monsters on your side of the field from attacking, which hampers Baby Tiragon's ability to bestow direct attacks to multiple cards in a single turn. Your other best bet at the moment is probably Copycat, a level 1 spellcaster that can copy the stats of an opponent's monster on summon. If there are strong bodies on the other side of the field, Baby Tiragon plus Copycat or Cats might catch a surprise victory. But there's a reason it would be a surprise, and that reason is that Baby Tiragon is not very good. In the Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal anime, Baby Tiragon is symbolic of the friendship between Flip Turner and Yuma Tsukumo, with its card art changing expressions based on the creature's mood. This ranges from cheerful to scared to disapprovingly upset. Unfortunately, the artwork chosen for the real-world release is not Baby Tiragon at its happiest. However, this does open up possible future alt arts where the little tiger dragon doesn't look so sad. But even with new, happier art, Baby Tiragon's competitive presence would remain sad, being hard to summon or hard to use already with tough conditions to handle for a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Being both, well, it gets number 1 on the worst of lists, but not much else. Alright, and that's the list. If you think there's any other rank 1s we might have missed, or have ideas for future videos just like this one, please let us know down in the comments below.